So far, this Bitcoin cycle has been exactly the same like all the previous ones. And you know what always happens at the end of the cycle? You guessed it correctly, it is altcoin season. According to all technical analysis, all data points from the previous Bitcoin bull markets, all the Bitcoin 4-year cycles, there is one thing for certain, and that is that in the last 2 to 3 months of the Bitcoin bull market, we always see a full blown out altcoin season. And that is why on today's update video, I want to be breaking down what we're currently seeing in the market, when to cash out, how to prepare accordingly, and what can we expect for the market right now. And of course, where do I think this stop is going to be taking place? So a lot to discuss for this very important video right now here. And let me kick off the video with discussing first of all the end cycle of Bitcoin, because like you can see on this chart, the orange line right here is the Bitcoin halving. And yes, one thing that is always corresponded, about 6 to 8 months after the Bitcoin halving, we tend to see the Bitcoin bull market getting started. And that is something that so far every single time has played out. And what we also know, approximately 12 to 18 months after the Bitcoin halving, we tend to see the Bitcoin peak. And this was also in September 2021 the case. This was also the case in January 2018. I mean, we peaked already a little bit before that, but this is exactly the timing we had for the previous times in the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin. And honestly, I am going to be looking at the Bitcoin 4-year cycle as something that is going to be exactly play out once again until it's proven otherwise. And also one of the things that we have seen from the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, the orange line is of course the Bitcoin halving, and then of course after that we see the exact same timings over the Bitcoin chart, and this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. So the Bitcoin dominance chart is basically one of the indicators that shows us whenever a full-blown altcoin season starts here. And if we're going to be looking back at the previous altcoin seasons, you can clearly see it happened always at that end part of the Bitcoin cycle where Bitcoin was about to peak here. You can see if I put it on the weekly time frame, in the previous 4-year cycle, at the end stage of the cycle, you can see in the last 4 to 5 months, we saw the biggest gains on altcoins being realized. And this has been also the case in the bull market before, all the way back in 2017. We saw on the end phase of that bull market, really the big gains for the altcoins, because we had the Bitcoin dominance sitting at 88% and it dropped all the way down to about 35%. So very big gains on the altcoin market. But so far, we have not seen this yet so far. But I do believe we are at this end phase of the cycle. And I've said this many times before on the channel, on my daily technical analysis videos. I do think Bitcoin is going to create one final leg towards the upside to about $140,000 US. And in terms of timing, the maximum length of this cycle is going to be lasting till about October, September 2025. And maybe it's going to be already peaking out earlier, like we saw in 2015, where it topped out approximately a month earlier. So let's say it's going to be topping out in September. In those last 3 months before September, so during this summer, we should be expecting those big gains to be realized on altcoins here. And to give you an even bigger overview on why I'm saying this here, for example, this is the Ethereum chart, and you can see once again the same indicator overlaying it. You see the Bitcoin halving, and then in that last part, the gains that were made on Ethereum were insane. It was about 1800% in just a matter of like 200 to 70 days here. And then in 2020, we already started to see a big pump on Ethereum before, of course, the full-blown bull market started. But of course, ever since that started, we still moved up about 200 to 60% towards the upside. And this time around, it has been clearly much more worse because the market has been not so strong here. But like we have seen in every single time, at that final stage of that market, we see the biggest rallies. And just like we have seen in previous bull markets as well, you shouldn't be surprised to get 10% daily candles every single day for like 2 or maybe 3 months straight here. So that is really the phase which we are entering right now here. And at that final stage in the market is where the majority of the gains are realized. And For example, this is the total tree chart. So basically the total cryptocurrency market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you can see in that last phase of the market, it extended about 200% towards the upside. If you are going to count the wicks as well, it's probably even more than 220% here. But just like we have seen also before that, we saw that initial rally towards the upside and then the final run higher. And once again, we're seeing something similar. We saw that rally towards the upside already. And now I think we're going to get that final rally towards the upside. And also, if you're looking at the Bitcoin fractal cycle indicator, you can just clearly see that we're right now in that last phase of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. And this is going to be probably one of the last rallies towards the upside. That is at least what I am expecting. And then we're going to be going in towards that bear market. And in that bear market, that is where altcoins are going to get wrecked. But also in that final stage of the rally is where the majority of the gains are realized. So right now, I have set up a new trade on Ethereum because I'm anticipating a major rally, of course, on Ethereum. There are some very great developments happening on Ethereum right now. And if you want, you can right now copy this exact trading strategy I have set up here. All you need to do is go to the link description of today's video and press on copy my long-term Ethereum trading bot. And if you press on that link, you will come to Pionex and you can copy my exact trading bot. If you don't want to be doing it, but just sign up an account to Pionex to, of course, set up your own trading bots, guys. If you right now go to the highest link description of today's video, you can sign up an account to Pionex. And by signing up an account, you can get a free $30 towards $100 completely for free. So make sure to check that out anyways. But the real question is when to actually then close this trade I have got running here, because I've got this trade running up here on Pionex. I've got this trade running here on Bybit, which is about $140,000 in profit. The question is, when are we closing this? And I think one of the most important things to look at is actually very boring indicators. First of all, you can look at CoinGlass, you can look at the Bitcoin bull market peak indicators, and if you're looking at this chart, you can basically see a very clear sell signal or a hold signal. These are basically 30 of the most popular indicators that have predicted many previous Bitcoin bull market tops, and whenever these are going to be flashing, of course, we should start to consider to take some more profits off the table. Another one is obviously, this is a little bit more of a short-term thing here. If the funding rates, they do run up very highly, just like we have seen in many previous bull markets or many previous rallies, if they get very overheated, we could start to say, okay, now probably the market is overheated and we are in for a major correction. So these are the things I'm going to be looking at. And honestly, guys, if you want me to make a top 5 videos about what altcoins you should be buying right now here, let me know in the comment section down below, because I can definitely consider to make such a video, because I really think this is one of the most important times to prepare right now. And if we're looking at the 7-day gains, we are seeing many of the great projects locking in a lot of big gains here. And of course, there could be some very crazy days coming where, of course, we're gonna see these plus 10% days every single time. But just like I showed you from all these indicators, this is really the part of the cycle where probably the biggest gains are realized, and that is why I made this video. I want you to be aware about what we're currently seeing. And with that being said, I highly appreciate it that you watched this video till the end. Subscribe to the channel, slap off that like button, and see you guys on the next one. Peace out, goodbye.